it's the year for winning streaks. And it's funny because from the start of the year, I stated my pick for the Stanley Cup is the Washington Capitals. And it was not that long ago that the Hockey News was reporting on the Capitals as if they're going to miss the playoffs and oh, they're skidding. And the funny thing was they were the number 2 wild card at the time, but they played less games than everybody else. So my reaction was one of, I don't know what you guys are thinking, but the Capitals aren't missing the playoffs. Now, I certainly felt that my prediction was in jeopardy. I did. And there are still teams that could potentially come up and bite them. But if the playoffs started today, the Washington Capitals, as the number 1 seed, would play Philly. And I like their chances. The Montreal Canadiens would play the Rangers. How much fun would that be? And Boston would play Toronto. This is bizarro world. But this is about Washington and their 9-game winning streak. And it is just as newsworthy as the winning streaks of Columbus and Minnesota because Columbus has cooled off. Columbus has lost a bunch of games now, and you know it was going to happen. You can't just keep going at that level. And Columbus is 20 games above 500, so even if they just play win one, lose one from here, they still finish with 102 points. And that's a damn good season for Columbus. For Washington, though, and I've said from the start of the year that I think something's going to be different this year. That the Capitals have failed so many times now, and they have to win one for Ovi. You have to. And I say that as a person who doesn't necessarily cheer for the Caps, but I find as the year goes along that there's definitely a lot of momentum there. Now, I wouldn't cheer for them against Columbus. I do still find it relatively humorous when Sidney Crosby knocks Ovechkin out of the playoffs, although it's getting sad. The repetition of it, it's making it kind of sad. But as the Metro Division starts to wear down, because they can't stay at that level forever, and we're seeing Philly, if you include the fact that there's overtime losses in there, they technically are below 500 right now. So that 10-game winning streak is the only thing separating them from being one of the worst teams in the league. But Washington has been very good. And if you take their overtime losses and you just count them as straight losses, they're 29-14. That's a fantastic record. So no matter what way you look at it, right now the Capitals are on pace to be a 120-point team. And I wouldn't bet against them in the playoffs, especially if round 1 is Philly. They win that round, and then in round 2 they either get Columbus or Pittsburgh. Well, odds are it's Pittsburgh in a 7-game series. And then it's Ovi versus Crosby all over again. But this winning streak has been fun to watch. I missed today's game. And, you know, today's game was them blowing out the Flyers 5-0. And then they shut out the Blackhawks yesterday, 6-0. So it's not even a matter of the Capitals playing well and eking out wins. The last 2 wins have both been blowouts and shutouts. So they're doing it at both ends of the ice. No, I want the team schedule. Okay, I clicked on the wrong schedule. That's all. It's this one down here. Okay, so it shows Washington beating Pittsburgh 5-2, which was another fantastic game. And then it doesn't show the rest of the games on here. I gotta find it. Okay. I loaded up the schedule on the NHL webpage. So when you look at this streak, it's been very, very impressive. It's been a very, very impressive streak for the fact there's a lot of shutouts in here. So they beat Philly 5-0. They beat Washington 6-0. They beat Pittsburgh 5-2. On the road, they beat Montreal 4-1. On the road, they beat Ottawa 1-0. At home, they beat Columbus 5-0. Of course, that's where they broke Columbus's winning streak. At home, they beat Toronto 6-5, and that's a game that I still, I was watching that game and I was really hoping Toronto was going to win it. But Washington's offense was too much for them. 2 weeks ago, they beat Ottawa 2-1. Prior to that, they beat New Jersey on New Year's Eve 6-2. The last loss they took was at home to the Devils 2-1, and it was a shootout. Prior to that, they lost to the Islanders 4-3 on the road, and they had a shutout the game before that against Tampa. Now, Washington's upcoming schedule. Let me get this out of the way because I'm getting a lot of glare apparently off that. The upcoming schedule for... No. Go that way. There we go. They go to Pittsburgh tomorrow, and the streak could end tomorrow. Game in Pittsburgh. Again, you got Sidney Crosby and Alex Ovechkin. It's going to be an awesome game. Could end right there. Then they're in St. Louis. Got a couple days off to go to St. Louis. That's a winnable game. Next Saturday, they're in Dallas. Believe me, from a Dallas fan, that's a winnable game. Then they're at home against Carolina. Again, they can win that. Then they're in Ottawa. I would personally right now say they're a better team than Ottawa. Then they're in Jersey on the 26th. And then to finish out the month, they're in Brooklyn playing the New York Islanders. That's a very favorable schedule for the Capitals for the rest of this month. As we get closer to the All-Star break, and we are now generally, we're in the second half of the season, we're looking at who the contenders are and aren't. Washington, if they can continue this streak, they don't need to win 16 in a row. Definitely don't need to do that. They can. They have a team that can. But what scares me with Washington, and there are a lot of things that scare me with Washington. Let's go ahead and load up the player stats. We're not even going to get into the fact that Ovechkin's having a good season, not a great one yet. OV is sitting with 21 goals in 43 games. He's on pace for 40, which for anybody else is fantastic. For OV, it's pedestrian. Backstrom is their leading scorer with 42 points in 43 games. But the depth of scoring is where they've got something going for them. Backstrom's on pace for 20 goals. So is Ovechkin, Marcus Johansson, TJ Oshie, Justin Williams. Jay Beagle has 8 goals. He's on pace for about 16 goals. John Carlson has 5 goals from the blue line. He could get 10. Evgeny Kuznetsov has to turn around his offensive game. Being on pace for 55 to 60 points is fine, but it's not quite what was expected, especially the 5 goals. So I would expect his goal scoring to improve in the second half. Justin Williams is on pace for almost 30 goals. Oshie's on pace for almost 30 goals. Johansson's on pace for almost 30. Backstrom's on pace for 25. The depth that Washington boasts, and I mean, I'm not even counting Burakovsky's, it's got 17 points right now, and his upside is huge. Eventually, I'm surprised Tom Wilson hasn't started producing offensively, but he hasn't, and I'm starting to realize he may never do it. Brett Connolly has 6 goals in 29 games. Lars Eller, 4 goals in 42 games. Eller's capable of more offense than he's shown in Washington so far. Winnick, 6 goals in 33 games. Like, everybody on this team can hurt you up front. And it's a good mix top 6. It's a good mix bottom 6. I mentioned Eller a few moments ago. I liked Lars Eller okay as a Montreal player. I don't think he'll ever fulfill whatever offensive promise was believed to be there when he first came into the NHL. but he's damn good. And the scary part is, now looking at the goaltenders, Grubauer's won 8 out of 9 games he started. He has a 1.74 goals against, 935 save percentage, and 2 shutouts. Braden Holtby, 34 games, 1.85 goals against, 933 save percentage, and 6 shutouts. I said, when I talked about mid-season awards, I said Holtby is going to come out of nowhere. Holtby just plugs along. And what I like with Braden Holtby is his amazing consistency. And coming into this year, that was something that I always touted when it came to Corey Schneider. So let me go ahead and load his stats here. So when Holtby came into the league in 2010-2011, he wins 10 games out of 12 decisions, 934 save percentage. Inexplicably, in 11-12, he ended up being stuck behind a couple other goaltenders. I think it was Neuwirth and Varlamov that year. He plays 7 games, 922 save percentage, 1 shutout, 4 wins. And then all he does is win. So in his 270 starts out of 278 games he's played, he has 170 wins, 68 losses, 29 overtime losses. So he has 170 wins and 97 losses. Goals against, career goals against right now is 2.31. 922 save percentage, and 29 shutouts. He's only in his 7th year, and that's not even a full year in the NHL. This is just his 7th season playing in the NHL. You look at Marty Brodeur's stats, and you say nobody's going to touch him, much like Gretzky with the goals. In Washington, you have a guy in Ovechkin who, if he gets hot, and if he's willing to stay in the NHL long term, could threaten that Gretzky goal mark. At the very least, he ends up top 5 all time. At the very least. Braden Holtby is the only goaltender I look at right now, because Washington is the only organization I look at right now, and I say, you know what? He could threaten Marty Brodeurs' records. He's got 29 shutouts. He'll have 30 by the end of the year. So, you know, Marty Brodeurs' records of just, you know, over 100 shutouts. This guy's on pace to get over 100 shutouts in his career, unless the NHL does something dramatic, which will totally, you know, ruin goaltenders' shutout records again. Back in the 80s, it was considered a huge accomplishment to hit 25 shutouts in your career. Now it's just whatever. Nobody pays any attention when you hit 25. Let me know when you hit 50. So this is why Washington scares me. You have all that offense. You have fantastic blue line. I know people come down on Brooks Orpik. There's a lot of shitting on Brooks Orpik. Orpik is not your top tier guy, but he doesn't hurt you as a bottom 2 guy either. I mean, you've got Carlson, and you've got Niskanen, and you've got Alzner, and you've got just there's so much depth on their blue line. Let's load that up, because I want to get into what their defensemen are doing too. Alzner is not an offensive defenseman, so 7 points in 43 games doesn't matter. Orpik, 10 assists in 43 games. It's good for him. He's not counting on him for points. Nate Schmidt, decent bottom defenseman there, 11 points in 36 games. He's not hurting them. Dmitry Orlov kind of slides by. Nobody pays a lot of attention. 19 points. Niskanen, 20 points. Carlson, 25 points. So there's a lot to like on their blue line. There really is. I personally am a big fan of what the Capitals are. Whether I cheer for the team or not doesn't matter. But they've put together a really fantastic team. And I wouldn't want to play them in the playoffs. Columbus, lots of depth. Minnesota, lots of depth. Washington, lots of depth. There is a pattern here. This is part of the reason why I tell fans of teams like Vancouver, to some level with Edmonton as well, like, yeah, you know, there's baby steps with Edmonton. They're not in this category yet. You know, they need another year to build up their depth and get their rookies to sophomores, and their sophomores to third year, and start getting that experience so they can get into this domain. And for Vancouver, the depth just isn't there. You got Jason Megna playing with the Sedins. It's just that says it all right there. This is a team that I genuinely am frightened of, and yet in a playoff series against Pittsburgh, I still don't know if they beat them. But I'm still sticking with them as my Stanley Cup pick for the year. And for right now, after winning that game against Philly this morning and getting their fourth shutout, and I think it's 6 games, fourth shutout in 6 games, this is a scary team. So my question to you is, can they win it? Can the Washington Capitals, after almost 50 years in the league, almost, they're not at 50 years, can they actually win a Stanley Cup? They've been to the final once, that was 98, and they got killed by the Detroit Red Wings, which was too bad because the storyline with Ole the goalie was just too good, and sadly it just fell apart. But can this team do it? Can Ovechkin overcome the last 10 years of futility and hold up a Stanley Cup? And does that prolong his career in the NHL, or does it shorten it? Does Ovechkin hold up a Stanley Cup and go, you know what? This feels really good. I'm never going to get something better than this. I feel good about this. I'm going to the KHL. There are players who retire when they get a Stanley Cup. Is that what Ovechkin's after, and then he's ready to go home? I don't begrudge anybody for going to the KHL if they're Russian. I don't. And I mean, if you're a Canadian or an American player and you can't find an NHL taker for your services, absolutely play in the KHL. If you can't find a team that's willing to pay your price, and KHL comes calling and you're willing to live over there, sure, to go for it. And I bear no ill will to Kovalchuk for doing it. I know Devils fans do, but I don't. I understand it, and if Ovechkin did it too, is he more likely to do it if they win, or is he more likely to do it if they lose again this year? I'm neutral on it, but honestly, this has been a tremendous winning streak, and this is an amazing team. This is, from top to bottom, a really damn good team. I have a really hard time picking out a weakness in Washington right now. They're scary. Again, though, against Pittsburgh, you could still make an argument that Pittsburgh has the scariest roster from top to bottom. And you'd probably be right. And we'll see what happens with that. But if you're just browsing through, go ahead and hit like and subscribe. And like I said, let me know in the comments what you guys think. How do you guys feel about the Capitals winning streak? I think it's great to see all these winning streaks. This is a strange season, isn't it? All these insanely long winning streaks in the same year. The Caps are, if they win tomorrow, then they're in double digits. That's 3 double-digit winning streaks in the same season. I don't know what the stats are on that. I don't know how many multiple, 10 or more game winning streaks there's been in any given season. But I'm sure if they hit that record, I'm sure we're going to hear things about it on TSN, Sportsnet, ESPN, and anybody else, because this has been an amazing season of hockey. So, all right, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to y'all again soon.